Hey, it's Joseph here. Today we are going to have a look at these two devices, and I made two videos prior to this one where I check out these devices initially. So if you haven't seen those already, I suggest you to go have a look at those before, since it has some good info on what they look like on the exterior as well as the look inside or under the hood of this laptop. The laptop's name is Asus ROG Flow X13, and this external GPU over here is called XG Mobile. The model names for both are GV301RE for the laptop and GC31 for the XG Mobile. As a disclaimer, Asus has loaned me these two devices to allow me to make these videos. I will be returning them afterwards, and spoiler alert, these would be hard ones to let go. And just we are all on the same page, ROG stands for Republic of Gamers, and it is a gaming suit for devices from Asus. Although these devices are designed for gaming, I am reviewing these devices for architecture related tasks, which often requires as much horsepower as gaming. 3D modeling, rendering, large document handling, handwritten notes, and occasional sketches are something that I do daily and are the tasks that I evaluated these devices for. Starting from the exterior of this laptop, I've already covered quite a bit in the unboxing video, so I will save you time in spending so much on this topic, but I really like the overall form factor, and it is quite a compact, thin and light laptop. Yet it is quite solid when handling, as the outer shell of the laptop has a metal construction, and it looks quite nice with the ribbed back top panel, even with some fingerprints on there. And in my humble opinion, it is one of the best looking laptop design. Something that I hadn't really mentioned all that well on the last video was the USB-C port on the left. The XG Mobile port comes with a rubber cover on top, and it actually has a USB-C port included. So I've actually ditched the rubber cover and basically used this port as my primary charging port. This basically makes a USB-C charging port on both left side and right. I just prefer to charge from the left, as I often have a mouse on the right and I do not want cable getting in the way. And that's what I assume Asus have considered. As there is a full-size HDMI port and also a USB Type-A port, we are pretty much covered on every aspect of ports, but the only thing that I can actually think of that is missing is the SD card reader. I know this is quite important for many creatives out there, but we may excuse it as it is a gaming laptop after all. I personally don't really use full-size SD card reader anyways, but I do prefer having a micro SD card reader on laptops just to use it as expandable storage. So either of them would have been a nice to have, but this certainly wouldn't deter my decision. And something that I have noticed that is quite different from other laptops is the fact that the power button is on the side of the laptop. If you have opened the laptop and left puzzled wondering how you turn on the darn thing, then just look at the right side of the laptop, then you'll find the power button. This actually has a good reason for it. I'll kind of mention that later on. And since we have opened up the device, a solid feeling hinge lifts the laptop after a certain degree of angle. And there is a rubber on the corner of the metal body of the laptop so that it doesn't dig into a precious tabletop as my desk over here. And it actually allows the laptop to be opened 360 degrees like this. And the keyboard side has rubber feet to prevent all the keys from rubbing against the table. So you can kind of see them over here, here, and here, and here. So this essentially makes the laptop 2-in-1 device. And it also rotates the screen as you flip. For those of you who are not so familiar with the 2-in-1 devices, the laptop will basically disable the keyboard and the touchpad on the back to prevent any accidental inputs, and this laptop basically does that too. By the way, this is a reason why the power button is on the side, so you can turn it off or turn it on, whichever mode that this laptop is in. And because this is 2-in-1, now it is quite clear that this is a touchscreen. The pen support is not something that's been widely noted in many places, but you can use Asus Pen SA201H. It is noted at the bottom of the webpage that it is compatible with this laptop GV301RE, and the pen was not included in the box, and it is not available to purchase in many different places, but I was able to find a listing for $70 US. However, I've tried a bunch of different stylus that I have on hand to see if it works. And this Dell's Active Pen that I use for another 2-in-1 laptop happens to work with this laptop. All the standard functions such as holding down a button to erase works as expected. It goes to say it is a quite standard stylus design as well as the panel type that is widely adopted. So taking notes and doing some 2-in-1 device type of things is all great. However, the pen doesn't really attach to the laptop in any form of ways as to most of 2-in-1s. I mean, you can kind of stick it here, but it is a disaster that is waiting to happen as these pens are quite fragile, especially when you drop them. Therefore, you'll have to make sure that you have a spot for it either on your desk or inside of your bag. Moving on to the screen, I've mentioned that the laptop is quite small and compact. Thanks to its thin bezels, it maintains 13.4-inch display, and I like the fact that it is a 16:10 ratio where it includes a bit more in terms of the height. This makes the screen into 1920 by 1200 resolution, and it is a slightly taller FHD, and I think it is called FHD Plus or WUXGA. I've seen other variants of Flow X13 with 4K screen, but I think this resolution is preferred for 13-inch screens. Stuffing it with as many pixels as 4K means that the laptop always has to work extra, and you will not be able to appreciate every single pixels because the pixel density of this screen is already quite high. And 16:10 ratio shows more content top to bottom, and the screen is not too narrow when you're writing something in the portrait mode. And also, I like the perceived responsiveness of 120 Hz refresh rate, and the higher refresh rate is probably for its gaming purposes, but it helps to make the device feel snappy and fluid when you are writing on the screen. However, the screen is glossy and something that I don't prefer to write on, so I typically get some sort of matte screen protector if I plan on using this device with stylus quite often. Or you just gotta clean the fingerprints often to make sure the machine looks good. In regards to the color of the screen, the spec says that it is 100% sRGB and then 75% Adobe RGB, and also Pantone validated. This means that this is perfect for my use as I don't need a super accurate monitor, but it would be enough color coverage and accuracy to judge when I'm seeing something on the screen is correct. And below the screen, we have a faint ROG Flow written on there. It is not so clear on the camera. Then onto the keyboard. We have 4 extra keys that are positioned above all other keys, and these are programmable macro keys. Important for gaming, but you can also customize them to do your favorite commands. By default, M4 button launches Armoury Crate, which is the ROG software that is adjusting a bunch of different things on this laptop, but I can actually change that to launch Calculator as I use that a bit more often than the Armoury Crate. So just hit this button to launch the Armoury Crate software, then change them into whatever that you like. Once I do that, I can hit that button to launch Calculator. There you go. And whenever you need to launch the Armoury Crate separately, then you can just search from the start button. And I'll get back into the Armoury Crate later in this video. And coming back to the keyboard part, I don't know what it is about this keyboard, but it was very enjoyable to type on. As I was typing away the outline for this video, It was quite long, but I was able to get through it quite easily. It must be correctly spaced out keys and also everything being on the expected spots. And as you might have noticed, it is white backlit keyboard and it is going to stay that way only, which is something that I prefer. Gamers may like individually addressable RGB keys, but I've always found them to be somewhat distracting for my purpose, so I prefer the white. Nothing really special about this keyboard other than the fact that it is a good keyboard, and I thought this laptop doesn't even have a fingerprint sensor. But to my surprise, it is not located on the top surface over here, but the power button on the side doubles as a fingerprint sensor. So you can touch on its side to log in easily and also more securely. Below the keyboard is the touchpad. I would give pretty good points to the touchpad as it is smooth glass and registers all multi-gestures very well. But I would actually like the touchpad to be slightly skewed to the left rather than smack center of the laptop, as the top right corner of the touchpad was clipping my palm, although the palm rejection was excellent, so it wasn't causing any issues. I don't know if this is a quality control issue, but in this specific unit, I have a bit of weird tapping of the touchpad. I usually tap the touchpad for clicks and double clicks rather than pushing down for actual click. Don't get me wrong, it is not really a wobbling of the touchpad per se, but it is more of a tapping that causes the glass to hit something under, making it basically a louder tap. It should not really make that kind of sound. It is kind of hard to describe, but it feels that the glass is somewhat loose. I can get a full press after the clunky tapping. Obviously, it is a preference thing, so it may not bother you at all, and this certainly wouldn't be the deal breaker. Let's go ahead and move on to the top of the laptop, which is the webcam of this laptop. And let's also start recording so you guys could see me. And now you should be seeing me as well as being able to hear me through the laptop's microphone. And this is what I look like and sound like. And in fairness, my room is quite dark at the moment, so I'm not expecting webcam to handle this scene quite well. You can kind of see noises that are happening over here, but overall the webcam is 720p, and this is what this webcam is able to show out of this kind of condition. And I wanted to note that the webcam does not support Windows Hello. It'll be fine for conference calls, and I don't expect webcams to do fabulous image quality anyways. I'm more impressed by the fact that they were able to fit a webcam on a top thin bezel of the laptop. Let's also test out the speaker quality quickly. For my untrained pair of ears, it sounds like it has a decent bass for the laptop size, but as the volume gets louder, the top end sounds somewhat mushy. I rarely use speakers for the laptop, so I'll go ahead and move on. And when I was doing light tasks such as listening to music or watching YouTube videos, writing this kind of outline for a video, the fan of this laptop won't even spin up. Therefore, the laptop maintains heat and fan noise quite well. And if we go to the Armoury crate, you can see the couple of power profiles that are available for you to choose from. And I've been putting this laptop on a performance mode whenever I'm doing different type of tasks, and it seems to handle everything fine. But you can certainly put this laptop into more silent or Windows power profile so that the Windows kind of dictate what this laptop does in terms of the power management and perhaps lasts a lot longer in terms of the battery life. And one of the good things is the fact that this laptop remembers what the power setting was when it is connected to a power. So when the laptop is charging, it is going to snap back into the performance mode, and then when it is off from the power, then it is basically going to snap back into either Windows power profile or something else. And the Armoury Crate also allows you to monitor the temps, and you can kind of see that it is hovering around 44 degrees Celsius at the moment since it is not really doing anything. And then when doing benchmarks and some 3D works as well as rendering, the fan will kick off and then make that soft wind noise. It is not really bothersome or anything, but you will notice that it is definitely spinning. But soon after the task is done, it will quiet back down, and when the laptop is connected to power, the temperature will definitely rise as the battery will produce heat. So just expect it to be somewhat warmer whenever laptop is being charged. And regardless of you being connected to power or not, you can just set the profile to whatever that is suitable for the task that you are currently doing. For me, I just left it on performance to really push this laptop to its limits. All of this is really related to battery. We must talk about it. With light tasks such as working on a Word document and watching YouTube videos, it actually lasted 11.5 hours. If you do any tasks that are heavy enough for a dedicated GPU to be utilized, you'll start to see a significant reduction in the hours that it can operate for. The RTX 3050 Ti that is equipped with is not a difficult card to run, but in general, GPUs can suck a lot of juice out of your batteries. Therefore, just be mindful whenever you're doing a lot of graphics tasks elsewhere other than at your desk, but you can also carry its small charger. So the original or the OEM charger is quite small, and it pushes 100 watt of power, and it is not a crazy amount as many laptop chargers does support power delivery as much as that. But it does have a bit of bulk on the cable as the lead line is quite thick. I prefer to carry a bit more compact form factor for my chargers, such as this one over here. This is a Spigen 100 watt charger as well as 100 watt capable cable, and I have showcased them quite often on my channel before. If you actually compare this, it is ever so slightly smaller than the original charger, but still capable of pushing 100 watt of power. In contrast, you can fold the plugs out of the brick and you can carry around a simple cable like this for this to be the power source for your laptop, therefore making a much more compact setup than the original charger. However, the 100 watt charging for this laptop only seems to be supported by the OEM or the original charger. You get a message saying that the laptop will not be performing the best when plugging non-OEM charger, which is a bit of a bummer, and you do have to make sure both your charger and the cable is capable of driving 100 watts. And with a non-OEM charger, it is only able to get 60 to 65 watts into the laptop. And I've confirmed this by using a cable that shows you how much of a power is being delivered into your devices. This means that I'll probably resort to leaving this cable at my desk so that whenever I arrive at my desk, I just use this charger for its maximum capabilities. However, I just take this compact form factor charger on the go inside of my bag so that I can carry it easily and then connect it easily whenever I'm elsewhere from my desk. Related to this topic, there's someone who said the laptop was not able to perform at its best when it is not using the native charger. And I've actually tested this in multiple setups, different chargers and different power profiles, different type of benchmarks, but the laptop seems to deliver consistent performance regardless of the charger being used as long as the power profile is set to performance. And because of this, the laptop can be drawing more power than what the non-OEM OEM charger can push into this laptop due to its 65 watt limitation. If this is a case for a long period of time, the laptop can eventually run out of its battery. However, I don't really plan on doing a prolonged period of performance tasks on the go, so I think that would be fine for me. But if you plan on doing that sort of task, then you can carry around this OEM charger inside of your bag because it is relatively small, and also rely on this thing over here. This will basically be your external GPU and docking station combined, giving additional performance to your laptop and charging it at the same time. And by connecting this, we will basically be bumping up its specification. Let's go ahead and talk about it. The CPU inside of this laptop is Ryzen 9 6900HS. It is a 8-core processor, and it is a quite well-performing chip with a lot of cores for its thin and light body. And it is supported by 16GB of DDR5 memory, and I find 16GB on laptops to be completely adequate. But I know some of you may have concerns for your large projects. Depending on your region, you might be able to find 32GB variant. Then it is the GPU. This laptop has NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3050 Ti, and I'll call it 3050 Ti for short, which is relatively mid-level GPU that is gonna get the job done pretty well. And the biggest bottleneck is probably its VRAM size, and it is only 4GB. And I'll definitely speak more about the performance and the benchmark very soon. And I've got 1TB of storage on this laptop, and it is a quite fast one as it is a PCIe Gen 4. And as you have seen on the first video, you can actually swap it out for a bigger storage if you wish to, but I find 1TB to be plenty for my use. And I also like the fact that this laptop comes with Windows 11 Pro. It is good to have for people who are looking to do work with it. Also, it's got Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth, and it's a must-have for laptops where I need to connect to many different things quite fast. And lastly, the XG Mobile is equipped with NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3080. It is a laptop grade GPU, not a desktop grade, but it is still very high-end GPU that should be able to handle a lot of things, and I mean a lot of things. The actual connection was quite easy, as the Armoury Crate will basically handle everything for you and immediately recognize what is going on with the devices. And just to show you the connection part, let me go ahead and connect the power. And as soon as the XG Mobile is powered on, you just have to connect this cable onto the laptop, just like that, and then LED will turn on, and then I can basically lock it. And once I lock it on the laptop, it will ask me click OK to switch to ROG XG Mobile, and once I press that, the processing happens. And you'll also notice the red light on the XG Mobile, and you'll also notice that the LED light over here has turned into red as well. So the actual connection between the external GPU and the laptop was quite easy. The Armoury Crate will immediately recognize it and automatically update all the firmware that it needs to have. And internally, it would basically cut off the connection to RTX 3050 Ti that the laptop is equipped with and route all the connection to the XG Mobile instead. Therefore, the operating system and then the software is not really confused between which one to use. And by far, this was much easier experience than any external GPUs that I have experienced. Plus, there are a bunch of things that you can connect into this XG Mobile. 4 USB Type-A ports, and then HDMI, as well as DisplayPort and an Ethernet port. And something that this laptop was missing, the full-size SD card reader is included on this unit. Therefore, you can just connect all the monitors and the network cable and the mouse and a keyboard to it, and it will just connect to your laptop. And this basically becomes replacement for my desktop. Because of these two different GPUs, my benchmarks are going to include the results with and without XG Mobile. So let's have a look at Enscape results. This graph is lesser the better. The RTX 3050 Ti inside the laptop is performing slightly less than 2060 inside the desktop, which is about where I would expect it to be. The RTX 3050 in VivoBook was surprisingly underperforming. In contrast, either the Ti variant or the power allowance made similar GPUs perform drastically different. Then it is paired with RTX 3080 inside of XG Mobile. It performed so well that I had to double check with my desktop that has RTX 3070 Ti. Basically, it was performing almost as much as desktop RTX 3070 Ti. This trend continues with Lumion testing. Lesser the better on this test as well, and RTX 3050 Ti performed with more than double the speed of RTX 3050 in another laptop. I don't mean that 3050 Ti is really well performing here, but 3050 was really underperforming. You can get some rendering done with 3050 Ti, but will not really be fast, but at least much faster than 3050. When it is paired with RTX 3080 inside of XG Mobile, it'll be better than the desktop RTX 2060, but less than desktop RTX 3070 Ti. This is probably because Lumion's rendering engine isn't optimized for ray tracing or DLSS. In regards to the CPU-bound rendering of V-Ray, it performed about the same as 11700K. The longer the bar is, the better it performed on the graph. I don't expect a huge difference between CPUs unless the core counts are really different. Even the CPUs between laptops and desktops don't really make much difference. This shows how little CPU performance difference you can expect out of laptops. Testing CPU with and without XG Mobile made almost no difference. But when I ran the GPU CUDA test, it showed lots of differences. This one can be run with both CPU and GPU. Therefore, a good way to test performance combined together, although GPU will weigh a bit more. With just RTX 3050 Ti, it is about the same as laptop 3050 and desktop 2060. I would say the performance difference isn't as big to consider one is better performing than the other. But when it is paired with RTX 3080 inside of XG Mobile, the results drastically change. So it performed as well as a desktop-equipped i7 12700K and 3080 Ti, which is my current main machine named Blue 6.0. V-Ray RTX test is purely GPU test, and it shows that the 3050 Ti is similar to aforementioned GPUs. And the 3080 from XG Mobile is a bit less than my desktop 3070 Ti. When I ran Revit tests, courtesy of Bimbox, it was on par with previous gen CPU and similar GPUs. My guess is because all of these tests is mostly CPU bound, and the numbers definitely improved on GPU related tests when I paired it up with XG Mobile. The Blender CPU test shows about the same performance as Ryzen 5800H, which was in the VivoBook. I understand the S on the 6900HS stands for thin and light laptop. Therefore, I think there's a bit of a performance trade-off, even though 5800H is a previous generation. Blender GPU test shows similar results as the other GPU tests. Laptop 3080 inside XG Mobile can match desktop 3070 Ti performance. Since we have talked about all of its capabilities, let's talk about money. The laptop Flow X13 with the same spec is currently listed as $1350 with a sale on Best Buy. The amount of hardware you get out of this price is quite incredible. It is well balanced and a very compact form factor, but there is a catch. The XG Mobile with laptop grade RTX 3080 is $1,500 US. So we have to think a bit here. External GPU is costing more than the laptop that is going to pair up with. The total cost of this entire set is nearly $3,000 US. It is a lot of performance over here, but it is also a lot of money. So as a conclusion, if I were to solely evaluate for Flow X13, I think it would be a great buy because it really ticks all the boxes that I would personally want. It has a very long-lasting battery life and a solid CPU performance, and its dedicated graphics card will perform enough to get me going on the go. And it perhaps will not be able to do all the things, at least not that fast, and I'll need a main machine that is equipped with a better GPU. And this is where the argument can be made. My main machine, the desktop, costs roughly $2,000 US, and I have to purchase all the peripherals such as mouse, keyboard, and all the monitors, and even a desk for it. Whereas you already paid for everything that comes with this laptop: the keyboard, touchpad, and the screen. And then you pay $1,500 for XG Mobile that will basically double this setup as my main machine, where you do actually everything. This has added benefit of not needing duplicate machine or software setup. Also, you can carry the whole thing around because both of them are compact and light. Therefore, you're just gonna have to consider those benefits over the large amount of money that you're gonna have to pay for this device. Unfortunately, the XG Mobile connection is a proprietary connection to a very few ROG devices. This means that XG Mobile can't really be used for other laptops that you might already have. Or if you already own some sort of external GPU, it will most likely require a Thunderbolt 3 connection, which Flow X13 does not have. I was actually quite curious about this matter, so I did test my external GPUs with a desktop grade graphics card to this Flow X13, and it would just not recognize them. I'm sure Asus will continue to issue better GPU equipped XG mobiles in the future, as well as the compatible laptops. But it still is a big investment and a commitment for a really well performing laptop set. One scenario that I've actually thought of was to have multiple people in the company to have Flow X13 as their laptops, and then have one or two XG mobiles available for everyone so that inside of the office they can use it whilst they use any heavy GPU tasks such as rendering and VR. And then they can perhaps check out a device for them to carry around for a off-site or off-office presentations. And that's basically where I'm gonna leave you to it. If you have enjoyed this content, please like this video and consider subscribing to my channel to continue watching these type of videos. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I'll see you next time. Bye.